Welcome back to the channel, boys and girls. Hope you're doing okay. Welcome back to another weekly news episode of what's been going on in the galaxy throughout New Eden. If you are new to the channel and you do find yourself enjoying it by the end of the video, a subscribe will be amazing. We're trying to reach a very high number of 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Very optimistic, I know, but I'm happy if we even get halfway there, if I'm perfectly honest. But that's an aspiring goal I'm trying to get to. Also, a like would be really appreciative, as it helps the algorithm and gets it out to more people. So with all that spiel out of the way, this week we've got quite a bit to look into. We have Delve Aquarius and a little bit of period basis going on. We have stuff going on over on the border between Goons and Horde. We have some low-sec conflicts. Another multi-hundred billion conflict happened in low-sec. We have a wormhole shenanigans, stuff going on in wormholes. And we also have a little bit behind the curtain on something. So I hope you're going to enjoy this one, guys. I was really looking forward to doing this one. I didn't quite do it the format exactly how I wanted to, so I'm going to polish it up and do it next time. Let's get stuck into the first item. As we look over cash, as I mentioned in the last week's video about there's going to be potential new fighting and everything coming, because these top few systems here were actually under entosis or reinforce. Now, that did get changed over on the... it went from Northern Coalition to no value. The infrastructure hub, not sovereignty. Sorry, we had the sovereignty for a while. It was the iHub that was taken. So the iHub was taken from no value, and on the 23rd that was taken. So that was 6 days ago. That was taken. Now, this, as I said, cash is heavily strategically valuable because of all these little accesses back there. Now that we have the infrastructure hubs there, it's just a matter of time for this sort of strategic level to increase before we can actually put any ansiblexes or anything like that to get to the front line as quick as physically possible. So I think it is 30 or 40 days for it to get to the level needed for a Ansiblex jump bridge to go in, which makes then projecting out into these areas much quicker, because you can just dot around here and here and get back very, very quickly. There was a brawl over this pocket here and here, because that went to outer passage, so they came in from different angles, as far as I'm aware. I did get some footage of it, which... it wasn't much to look at, because it were basically there was a Fortizar that was reinforced, or we were reinforcing it, and Horde jumped in after it was reinforced, which I didn't understand the move, but there was this was what was in the system at the time. So there was 333 pandemic Horde, 80 hold my probes, 24 no value, and 20 Stellae Renacus. I'm butchering that name, I do apologise. There was 242 Goon Swarm and some other Imperium members as well. And this was the battle report over the system. So the 80Y, the K8, PKN, and NG. So you got 80Y, PKN, K8, and NG. These areas were what were reinforced and what we were taking the iHub for, or the Sov hub for. That's what we were taking, hitting them for. Now, there were fights over certain... that's why I've included all these systems here. Let me just zoom in a touch. So these systems, there was fighting over from... I put it from 5 o'clock till my time till 11 o'clock, because it wasn't the full, but it shows the form up, people getting in, and then people getting out. So I just wanted to show all of that. So Goon Swarm we brought Raven Navies, and we brought Raven Navies, and Raven Navy fleet by the look of it, and not many of, to be honest. The Brave bought a lot of Munins, which is a nice armor doctrine nowadays. Oh, there's the CFIs. So we brought CFIs, some Omen Navies, and small stuff to dart around and kill hackers that are hacking the nodes that spawn for that Sov hub for that system. It wasn't so much about actually killing all their ships, although that would have been nice. But it was more about taking the actual Sov hub itself. Oh, we actually came out on top in the ISK war, which, to be honest, when it's over strategically important systems, or a constellation or a cluster, like a whatever of systems, the ISK war is always nice to win. But if the strategic value of that area you're taking holds more value than your fleet, like Goons have done in the past, we have thrown hundreds of billions at stuff just to make sure the objective is taken, because it's more important that the objective is taken than the actual ISK war itself. Even though we did come out on top of that, which I'm not sure how, but I'm looking at these numbers and realizing now that it wasn't always a fair fight in here. Now, I do remember seeing some of these individual BRs where we vastly outnumbered PanFam side, and it was more of like shooting fish in a barrel, and which again, you know, it's not a fair fight. But Sov warfare is not about fair fight. It's not about the good fights. It's about keeping your safe space or taking what you want, kind of thing. So if you can get a dump on, if you can dumpster an entire fleet very quickly before reinforcements arrive because you overwhelm them, it is a very commonly used strategy in most alliances in nullsec. Now, these numbers are different because this APOC Navy fleet, which I was actually in system, the APOC Navy fleet did actually jump in on the Fortizar after it being reinforced. And that's why there's so many more of them on there than here. So for most of it, Horde didn't actually outnumber Goons this much. It was more of I think it was either kind of even. We outnumbered them on one or two of these systems, and then they outnumbered us in one system, I think it was. But in total, ignore that number there, because again, they jumped another fleet in after the reinforce, and then it was just standing there posturing. Well, and there was a lot of there were still nodes being hacked and stuff like that while the fleets were sat on the Fortizar, but I don't think they could have got there in time or done enough about it at the time. So they just basically saved the fleet, which at that point is probably the best move, just to save the fleet instead of sending it into a fight that you're probably just going to get absolutely dumpstered regardless, because no one really feeds a fleet just for the sake of feeding it, because you know. But that was cash there. So that is now under Imperium control, completely and utterly under Imperium control. So yeah, the 24th that was taken, and now Fnatic Legion will be holding this the front lines here. And I don't think, as far as I'm aware, we did have a system over here, which I mentioned in the last one, but there were a couple reinforced here. But like what they do to us, it's more about reinforcing it to divert their attention away from the front line sort of thing. So cash is now secure, and we are going to now move over to Delve and Aquarius. But as we look into another part of the galaxy, we are looking at Delve. So there isn't really much to report in Delve as such. There's a lot. I mean, there's been a lot of movements going around the K6 area, and you know, all of NPC nullsec has been quite a hot spot lately for traveling. So let's go to jumps 24 hours. There's a lot of jumps going through here. There's a lot of movements, and that'll be fleets from Synergy, Phoenix Coalition, and Only Fleet Coalition. That'll be fleets traveling through from Aquarius out round and up that way there. But on the whole, there hasn't really been much going on in Delve itself. It seems to be relatively secure now, relatively held. Seems to be no issues with Sov arising, and it looks like these alliances are settling in nicely, so they can now start getting their infrastructure up and getting all their members making money again, and which will then fuel them for this war that's going to be going on over Aquarius, which we'll look at in a second. But first of all, I want to dive very quickly into period basis, as there was quite a brawl the other day in there. So period basis is owned by Dracaris, which, if you didn't know, is Imperium space. And I don't know if this was attacked. I can't imagine we would move all our capitals over to defend it, because it's a long way on the map. Let's have a look. Yeah, it's a long way on the map to move it across all these regions, across regionals, multiple regional gates. So from Faith Abyss to Esoteria to Peregrine Soul, across there, it's a lot of movements. It's not a huge amount in subcaps because, as you can probably see, we've got jump bridge networks that are set up all the way across there. But to move capital ships from all the way up here down here, which is pretty much the length of the galaxy, I don't think that would happen. If I'm perfectly honest, I don't think that would happen. So if period basis does get pushed by Phoenix Coalition once they've sorted Delve out, it'll be interesting to see what's going on there. But that is not exactly what I'm looking at. So this happened in MGO, which is, just for reference, is this system right here, right next to the regional. There was I believe it was an Astra House. It doesn't actually say on the battle report if it was an Astra House or if it was a Fortizar, but there was a initiative structure, extra large cruise missile. So I think that might well be a Fortizar actually. I believe it's a Fortizar. I'm not too switched on with exactly which citadels can fit which guns, but stand-up extra large cruise missile sounds like a Fortizar using anti-cap weapons to me. But it looks like Fraternity, Dracaris were engaging in it and trying to destroy said structure, because obviously they didn't want it in their space, which I can understand, but it didn't. As you can see, it didn't go well. It really did not go well for Dracaris. They had multiple dreads out. They had some Phoenix navies. They had a normal Phoenix, a Lith, and Apostles. Obviously, the Apostle and the Lith probably for the subcap fleet, which looked like didn't save them, because it looks like an entire Navy APOC and Navy Mega fleets was wiped, and there was all the Logi was gone, support wing gone. Yeah, it absolutely wipes the floor with Dracaris here, and I believe the structure's still there. I haven't gone and checked myself, as it's a long way, and it seems that initiative did quite have double the numbers, so they didn't have they had very fast, agile fleets, which these are slow, heavy-hitting battleships, and these are very fast and agile fleets. And looks like 2 or 3 Zealot fleets, two Zealots and a Deimos fleet. Not completely full, but yeah, that looks like it did not go to plan for Dracaris. But they paid the price. They tried to hit an init structure, and I believe the structure is either a content structure, like snuffed out using LowSec, so it doesn't really matter if it dies or not, or it's something that they're using to stage from, and so they can actually do, Black Ops drops in period basis and hunt have somewhere safe to sit while, if they want to go AFK, or if they want to just meet up with some friends and go and do some roaming and just killing stuff. Seems like that's what it was for. So yeah, that didn't go well for Dracaris. It was 173 billion, and they only lost under 10 billion. That's insane. That is 94.9% efficiency if you're into efficiencies. Right, so we need to go into Aquarius now, because there's quite a bit of drama involved with that one, and let's just dive into that one. Right, so Delve is covered, period basis is covered. Now Aquarius. So Aquarius is held by only fleets and weapons of mass production, and Ministry of Appropriate Footwork, and also the Phoenix Coalition in the form of Legion of Exdeath down here. Is it weapons of mass production? It is weapons of mass production. So you got only fleets holding this space here. You got Ministry of Inappropriate Footwork. You've got weapons of mass production. That's only fleets coalition here. Also wrong. Is it what could possibly go wrong? I'm pretty sure they're part of it as well. Otherwise, these guys would have hit them hard. Legion of Exdeath are kind of holding the corner here to catch and delve, which gives Phoenix Coalition a way in instead of going through Delve up here. But it looks like these two systems are reinforced. I believe these guys might possibly be part of Phoenix Coalition, and they did take them. And then, from what I've been told, there isn't huge amount of fighting going on at the minute. There's a lot of probing, and I think it's more down because Phoenix Coalition have just moved everything from the top end of the map down to here. So if we just quickly go to here, Pure Blind. So Fraternity now has all of Pure Blind here, and there's no Synergy of Steel and assets left up here as far as I'm aware now. So they had to move. Down here, which took time and effort to do. So now that they're all moved, I imagine there'll be some more probing and stuff like that going on along here. Synergy have taken a couple systems here in Aquarius, which allows them to project into Aquarius through a Titan bridge. But I do have an update, and it is from the Only Fleet side, which has been a little while since we've had an update from them. It said, so far nothing major has really happened. Phoenix Coalition are starting to hit Sov in the north of Aquarius, but so far hasn't been much we can't deal with yet, as their Harpy and Serb fleets, the only two systems we currently don't own were systems that RMC and StreamerCo had, V3 and AB, which is... Oh, here we are. So the only systems that are up here, the ones I literally pointed out a second ago, they were previously owned by Streamer Coalition, and which is obviously they've now been fully evicted out of Delve, and I last saw them in Curse, getting dumpstered in Curse, which I'll try and bring up the BR for that in a minute. And also for a few times now refed our Fortizar in T8T, which is... Where was that one? T8 there. T8T here. But still have yet to form for the Armor Timer. The only real note that Phoenix Co are now hiring mercenaries. Phoenix Coalition leadership deny this to harass us. The newest being Kybernauts Clade has seen in screenshots the Kyber one wasn't taken by me. We have yet to see them. I don't think. So we'll have much changes. I don't think there'll be much changes really. So this is the image that I'm on about. It's from an Opus Magnum, who's Kybernauts Clade, who, you know, contract there. The screenshot I've been sent isn't amazing quality, so apologies about that. I had to zoom in a little bit and it just blurs out a bit. But basically it says the contract shouldn't be too heavy of a lift. Our objectives are straightforward: reduce ADMs, activity dense defense multipliers in Aquarius, which allows sovereignty hubs to be hacked quicker by Entosis links if it's got a low ADM. Reinforce any key structures in Only Fleet's space. For the duration of this contract, we will be mutually blue with Phoenix Coalition and their associates. This grants us full access to their nullsec infrastructure and sovereignty space. So, it just so happens that I know Opus Magnum pretty well, because he used to be in my corp a few years ago. So I've reached out to him. I had a chinwag with him briefly. He's quite naturally, with being mercenaries, he wouldn't go into specifics of the contract due to confidentiality and all that sort of stuff. But they've said they've done mercenary contracts for Synergy when they were B2 versus Frat. So Synergy have hired them before, it looks like, B2 versus Frat. And he did confirm that this contract is legit and it is active and in the process of enforcing said contract, which will be nice. Those guys are literally just after content. As he said to me, content is content. Doesn't matter whereabouts in the universe it is. You know, it's fighting, which is great. This was a screenshot of the Synergy leadership denying it. Which, you know, I don't know why they deny it. It's not like it's going to, you know, make you look any worse than, or any worse or any better by saying we're using mercenaries. A lot of groups do use mercenaries. So if someone was to use mercenaries, I don't think it's anything you'd be this sort of adamant that you didn't use them. I don't think it's really an issue with using mercenaries. That's why they're there. People use them a lot. So Synergy of Steel, looking at the Z-Kill, they've been, well, it looks like they've been getting hunted a bit by, well, not hunted, but it looks like Dracarys have been killing them when they've come into their space. They've been dying to a Blood Dreadnought. Ouch, 2.3 bill, wow. But there's nothing really telling on here apart from the fact that there's just been a few losses. What is interesting though, Changxi Federation and Fraternity flying around. Obviously an arm of is that Pochven? Oh, it's Changxi Federation is like Fraternity's alt corp for probably tax haven as well for Fraternity. So it's their Pochven sort of, yeah, without directly being associated with Fraternity. They've got an arm there. So yeah, but that clearly, you know, flying together there. But yeah, it's that's, I mean, if you look at only fleets as well, there's not really a massive amount going on their kill board apart from, you know, the hunting up north, hunting here, and, you know, regular stuff. There's nothing really going on in the set in that sort of aspect of big fights. But as soon as they do come, I will let you guys know, of course. Now, moving on from here, we are going to be looking at some skirmishes over on the opposite side of the galaxy now, so hang fire for those. I thought we'd dive into Z-Kill as we normally do, due to there's been a lot of, as you can see, quite a few numerous expensive kills here. And first of all, I do want to dive into this Marshal, which is a Goon Swarm member, and apparently this is not the first time that he's lost stuff like this. It happens to him on the well, not on the regular, because that would be a bit silly if that was if something like that was happening on the regular. But someone sent me a BR for that, which I'll just bring up here now actually. And I have seen there's a video on YouTube for this where they I think they burnt a spy to get this, and basically they warped to a site in the Marshals, these 4 Marshals here, and they were trapped, and it was basically a trap. Or they just, you know, got ambushed by it. They found someone that was blue that was following them and then gave these guys a warp in, and yeah, so that was 83.5 billion dead to nothing on that side. So that was a hell of a, which was the 30 billion here, 30 billion-esque. Oh, that's a type, a shield tank. So it's a full PvE fit Marshal, which did have some loot in there as well, so from running some sites. But apparently, according to some people, these guys are known for multi-boxing Marshals to get these DEDs done. Black Ops battleships are actually really good for doing DEDs because you can just jump around to Sinos and not have to worry about bridging, you know, a Marauder back, for example. And yeah, they are really good. Like there's a Widow that you can use for 10 out of 10 escalations, really good tank on it, really high DPS, and you can get pretty much every 10 out of 10 done with them. And you know, you can cloak as well, which is really nice. So let's go back on here. So back to Z-Kill. So we got a jump freighter, which was in Podium, and also this guy, which is in Podium. And I believe Podium is an asset safety system where it's from, if I bring up the map, Podium is in Derelict. So it's kind of like this area, which may well have been these guys getting their stuff out from when they had assets down here, before we steamrolled the area. Fucking hell, phones. Before we steamrolled the area. So these guys may well have got their assets out after that. So there's a jump freighter with, looks like he was, to be honest, he's either jumping out of nullsec to high sec to sell, or he just got all his stuff out of asset safety and he was moving back down to horde space. But there's a lot of stuff here which to me says he was heading to high sec to sell. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, a lot of it dropped as well. But there's a lot of stuff there. 14.5 billion is dropped. And then also a Minakawa. Was that on the same day? It was. They undocked together and got dropped by purple helmeted warriors. These guys do camp asset safety systems. They know which ones. People always have eyes and alts on asset safety systems, because if, for example, a supercarrier or a Titan undocks, they cannot redock again, and it's a huge kill. So something like this. So this had quite a bit of stuff in it. Not a massive amount of stuff, just, you know, it's like some Rapier. There was Deluge, Helios. It had some ships in it, a Marshall as well, which actually dropped. Damn. Estimel's modified microprocessor. Oh, that was a shiny Marshall as well. Not that bad, because it didn't, you know, was that I thought it was an Abyssal smart bomb. Oh, yeah, that was probably quite shiny then. But yeah, that was a Marshall dropped, Magnet Navy issue, Anathema. Yeah, I don't know if these guys were moving out of nullsec or moving down to nullsec. It's kind of hard to see from there. But they got caught out and dropped and destroyed. Now, again, this is another, don't do this. Just don't do it. Like, who's this guy? The Initiative. Don't. Like, honestly, why carry all this kind of stuff in a ship that can be cargo scanned? Your best bet here is to max tank a blockade runner and just have an instant warp out of undock, and as soon as you undock, they can't cargo scan you. So when people gank blockade runners, it's a 50-50 chance if they're going to get something. Like, a lot of times blockade runners get ganked. They get ganked and they've got nothing in, but occasionally they have something in, like this one. 9.5 billion dropped, and all it took was one guy with meta level 3 artillery. So it only did 2,400 damage. I know it's only a destroyer, but still, that was a fast catch as well. Actually, it must have been warping into the station and got cargo scans. So again, making bookmarks on the station where you can dock. So you just warp to the bookmark instead of station, and having a blockade runner that that you are quick with the cloak and a max tanked one can save yourself 27 billion ISK. There was a Orca, a 24, nearly 25 billion ISK Orca in Geth that was deleted from existence. Again, carrying way too much. That is insane. Oh my god. See, in my opinion, most of that stuff could have been done in multiple blockade runner trips. Like, a lot of that you could have just put into a blockade runner. Multiple trips. Again, would have saved yourself 25 billion ISK there. But, you know, it was a nice drop. It's only 4 billion drop compared to 20 billion or whatever it was. This Aeon was destroyed by Goon Swarm. They got all but 2 dreadnoughts out, I think it was. I think it was all but 2 dreadnoughts, maybe 3. 2 dreadnoughts got caught for that. And yeah, it was I have seen the video for that. Again, the video is on YouTube, and you'll be able to find it if you type in Horde Aeon destroyed. It'll come up with it. And yeah, it was these are getting more and more common now, more and more common, because these dreads, especially these are throwaway dreads. These old T1 standard dreads, they're like throwaway dreads now. Faction, like your navy dreads, and they are still throwaway, but not as throwaway as these. But yeah, the Aeon was destroyed, and we did. I went out on a whaling fleet in the first ever whaling fleet in a rupture that I've ever been on, and we killed 2 dreads. But I've got some videos, quite a lot of footage, combat footage that I'm saving for separate videos, because I think they'd be better seen as a video in themselves, because some of them are a bit longer than others. Some of them are very quick, so I can put a few of them together. So that's probably what we're going to be doing with that. as far as these combat videos go, where we're doing killy capitals and stuff, and just a lot of fights with Pandemic Horde. So I'm going to move on to the next bit. Oh yeah, so we're going to move on to the next bit, which is, if I remember correctly, is a little bit of wormhole stuff, which I know there's not a lot I can get from wormholes, because a lot of them are quite secretive. And if there is anyone out there, ask them to get in touch or drop me a name on. I know a couple of you have, but again, it's just getting time to reach out to absolutely everyone is with work and everything like that is quite difficult. But there's like a coalition in wormholes at the minute, nicknamed the Blue Donut, where it's Laserhawks, it's Hard Knocks, it's all some of the bigger wormhole groups are all together, and they're just going around burning everything, to the ground that's not them. So they've got more wormhole space to farm. And there is a couple of videos here which, if you want to join my Discord, and I'll put them in the Discord. But there's basically a guy that was from the old War in Heaven war, which, if you know anything about wormholes, you'll know what that was. It was Sind, and they got beaten in the War in Heaven, and there's a guy that's taken it upon himself, absolute, top sausage. He's gone round in bombers, and he's got, I think it's like 10 or 15 of them. Or maybe even more. It might be even about 20. I think it's about 20 bombers in Hard Knocks wormholes. And every time they go ratting, or, farming the sites, he has a bomber and he waits for the Noctis to come round, and then he blows up the Noctis, he takes the loot and blows up the cans, and basically just stops them making money. So he'll wait for them to do a load of sites, and he'll, each site he'll just kill them. Or he'll, stop them making money. It's actually really impressive. So I will. So this is a BR, I think. This is a BR from Hard Knocks, Mercenaries Sans Frontiers, I believe. I think I've seen the video for this. Yeah, I did watch the video for this. I'll link the video below, just so you can see what's going on here. But essentially, I think this is in Rage. I think it is in Rage, the Wormhole, and it was these guys versus Hard Knocks, and yeah, it looked like a really good fight actually. 75 billion destroyed or lost, by Hard Knocks, and 12 billion lost by Mercenaries guys. So these guys are really, really, really kicking up some dust in the wormholes, which is nice. I mean, I know 75 billion is a drop in the ocean for a Hard Knocks, but someone's been a thorn in the side, and wormholes do allow smaller guys to, as long as the smaller group never get their wormhole discovered by the bigger guys, they're fine. They can just keep being a thorn in the side of these big groups, and there's not too much about they can do about it until they find your wormhole. Then they'll just evict you. And yeah, these kind of wormholes fights, so they're not massive on scale. Like, look, there's only 52 and 68 people. They're not massive, but they are destructive. Like, there's a lot of money in these, because these nesters are 2.8 billion each, and they're not cheap. Most wormhole PvP ships are not cheap, because they've got a fair bit of money, wormholers, but also because you're not going against huge numbers, every percent you can get on here is huge, absolutely huge, just because of the massive increase to tank and so on. Yeah, so there's a lot of fights going on with these guys, so I'm going to try and keep up to date with these best I can. And yeah, so that's wormholes covered, which has been interesting. Now I do want to go very, very quickly to, there was a low sec brawl which I seem to have lost the battle report for, but I can find it again. Here we are. So this, I don't know how or where to touch this. I know Initiative probably would have been a third party, but I don't know how or where to adjust the BR. So I'm going to leave it as it is. But there's actually, again, there was a YouTube video for this fight, which again, I will link down below for you to watch. It was a good brawl where it looks like these guys brought quite a few caps on field. And it looks like most of the caps got out all right, apart from negative feedback and Minmatar Fleet Alliance. their caps got caught and destroyed by these Zenitras and Revelation Navy issues. A nice Mercurial fleet versus Tempest fleet fleet and Armageddon Apocalypse fleets. So that was quite a big brawl in low sec. Now that's what I don't really know exactly what that was over. I don't think you can tell even from the video. I think it must have just been a fight that escalated and escalated and escalated. Initiative came to third part in a Retribution fleet, which majority of it got absolutely deleted. And so that was about 150 something billion ISK destroyed. Well, 161 billion ISK destroyed in a low sec system, and that was in every shore. So there are still quite a lot of fights going on. There's big wormhole fights going on. There's big low sec fights going on. There's a lot of stuff going on in null sec, as always. And I mean, to be honest, it's not because there's not much going on in those areas. It's because I haven't been able to find someone that can give me the full lowdown of exactly what's going on in those areas. And until I get a group of regular contacts that are obviously confidential, because I don't release any names of who tells me information, as long as they can remain in contact and feed me information, I can actually report on what's going on, and it gives the whole wider image of what's going on in the universe instead of majority of it being nullsec. But yeah, so as I said earlier, I do have a lot of I have probably about 3 hours worth of 3 hours worth of footage of fights that have happened over the last week that I'm going to be editing down into videos later this week. So I'm going to have a couple of them come out this week, another one will be coming out the week after, and then as the fights and the fleets happen, I will be uploading the fights then. There's been what I will say is, before anyone starts saying goon propaganda, there was a BR sent out, and I'm going to bring this up now because I just want to get it out there in the open before I just attach it to a fight video, and then it makes, it makes me look like I'm supping the Kool-Aid. Here we are. So this was a battle report that was from just a system in GTAQ the other day, and this is the kind of thing that happens regularly, and it's been proven by the woman that does the YouTube channel This Is Amy, where she did her inside review on Horde. I think a lot of it is, if she didn't go out and find, join SIGs and squads and stuff like that and go and find extra content, then she can't really sit there and say there's nothing to do. All these fleets get blue balls. If you only go on 4 fleets and 3 of them happen to get blue balls, it happened to me last night. We got blue balled last night and the night before. It does happen. But if you're wanting to do PvP and want to see what an entire alliance is like, you need to fully embed yourself within that alliance. You need to go into some SIGs and squads, get yourself out there, see what all the different areas are doing. Because I know Goonsform, we have plenty of SIGs and squads, and I can tell you now, none of them are the same as each other. Different leadership group, different FCs, different sort of fun and style of gameplay. So I do want to just say that before I, go on and saying that the misinformation in Horde is quite common. So this happened in GTAQ, which is the bordering system with EFM in our space. There's fights here every day. And, we had a Retribution fleet that went on for ages, which I've got a video coming because that was a hell of a fleet. So we took CFIs into Ferox Navy issues, and it looked like it was going all well, and there was a Dreadnought. I'm not sure if the Dreadnought got caught. That's why it was escalated. But this was the battle report that... Sorry, move PL to there because they're not part of us. On a point as well, because don't know who they are. But that is the battle report for how it went down. Now, this is what was pinged out on This is what was pinged out on Horde's Discord. Same fight. But they moved that over to here to save the battle report. Now, again, I don't know if a spy's done this on purpose to make Horde look bad, but if this was genuinely pinged out on their Discord, that's that is serious. Like, that's serious manipulation of the BR just to make it look like you didn't lose. But again, I don't think that's what the case was. If that's true, that's some really weird shit. But I don't think it was true. I think it was someone's got the BR, moved them across, took a screenshot, sent it to goons, like, oh, look at this, what was posted. That's probably what's happened, to be honest. But there's a lot of misinformation, like goons do it a lot as well. I believe Fraternity, they're quite heavy on it as well. So when you go into an alliance to see what that alliance is like, you need to look beyond the propaganda. You need to look beyond the smearing of other alliances, because beneath that there's normally a fully functioning alliance that's highly efficient at what they do, and they have their, you know, they have their really, really, like, I would say in most alliances 85-90% of the members are happy, but it's always that, maybe even more than that. But you always have that few percent of people that are not happy, and they are always the loudest, because no one screams and shouts on the rooftops about their alliance being absolutely amazing and that they love it. No one says that. But as soon as someone hates something, they will scream and shout about it, and they will be heard over the people that are happy. So when you see these kind of things, just take it with a pinch of salt, especially some of these alliance reviews. I'm not saying that what this is Amy is doing is bad, because it's not. What she's done is a really honest review. I think there's probably more she could do to get a better idea of exactly how an alliance is. I know she did one with goons, and she had her opinions about goons. I think she could probably do a better job of diving deep on going on more, like, spreading out into the alliance and talking to a lot of the members, instead of just, you know, firing questions at leadership. And you know, making a fuss when they don't answer or delete it or whatever. But I kind of went on a bit of a tangent there, guys. Not saying anything bad about This Is Amy, because what she does some really good videos on alliance reviews and stuff, really, really in-depth videos. But I think with the Horde one in particular, she could probably have gone into a bit more detail, or not, maybe not detail, but I think she could probably have done more to see exactly what the whole alliance is like. On the flip side, I have heard a lot of things that back up what she says, just by people that have messaged me on Discord that are either in Horde, because I've got some active Horde members that message me and feed me, you know, screenshots and stuff of stuff being said in local and arguments between members, and you know, you get that everywhere though. But yeah, I'm gonna quit while I'm ahead. But thank you for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this one. It was a little bit different to the usual kind of news week that we've done. But I was actually really excited about doing this one, because there was so much stuff to report on, and without just spending the whole time looking at battle reports and stuff like that, it's kind of overwhelming on how much was going on. But we're going to have, so far, there's a lot of stuff going on this week within Goons and future stuff. So I'm hoping I'll be able to release it all next week. And finally, it was GM week this week, which is a week in the year where all the GMs get involved and do set up all sorts of events across the entire game. So just to go over them very briefly, there was one-off events that were happening. Whack a Pinata, which is what we just looked at about the banned accounts, 600 verified bot accounts. It will be interesting to see how many of those were of Chinese origin, realistically. I only say that because Serenity server was absolutely flooded with RMT. Like, flooded with it, and that the Serenity was just the Chinese server, absolutely flooded with RMT, because it's accepted over there. There's nothing wrong with doing it over on that server, and now they've come to here, they keep doing it. It's not just Chinese as well. It's obviously there are a lot of other people that do it. There are multi-bot like input broadcasters in Wormholes, in Pochfern, any very high-end any high-end high-income PvE you will find will normally end up with some form of automation where someone has multiple accounts, and to do it automatically to make it easy, like input broadcasting, for example. And it is normally on the very high end of PvE stuff. You can do it on PvP stuff as well, but it's not as common as PvE. But I know Russians were pretty bad for it back in the day. And there was, I mean, it's all over really. It's all over. But from what I saw on those cans and some screenshots I've seen, I think every can I checked, bar one, I checked about 15, 20 cans. I think every can bar one was Chinese, had a Chinese ship in there, which I think CCP need to do a bit more to crack down on cheating and, you know, RMT and stuff like that, because it does ruin it for everyone else that's playing legit, through different consequences of everything happening. But we won't dwell on that too much. The devs are, you know, they said that they're on it, they're doing it, and they used to do Titans and Supers, because those used to be botted heavily in nullsec, and they used to teleport the Titan or Super that was a violator into Jita and make it suspect so everyone would shoot it. There was a GM and ISD roam that went out and about. There was a live to feed, so the devs went on a roam and you know, killed. Those only cans where these containers of juicy cosmetic loot in them, they were dotting them around. There were scavenger hunts, there was art contests, Vanguard stuff, again more art stuff in cans, and yeah, there was a lot of stuff with these, and they do these every year, so it is really good. And that week's concluded now, so got it next year. The next event I'm looking forward to is Crimson Harvest, because to me that is probably the best event of the year. Not for the PvE sites, because I don't do them, they just don't pay enough, so I don't do them. But there are other aspects of that event that I really do partake in, so I'm looking forward to that one. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video, which will be later on this week. Take care, and I'll see you next time.